This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to today's Shiur. We continue in the Sefer Devorah, and before we begin, I just want to start with a statement about the importance of regular study of Musar. The Pele Yoyet says, "Afilu misha chananei Hashem das," even somebody who the Ribono Shel Olam has endowed with knowledge and understanding, v'oisek b'negoyim v'oyalais. Even someone who is very intellectually sophisticated and is able to learn the most complex aspects of Torah. So one would think that they're such a great Talmid Chacham, it's sort of beneath them to learn about simple rebuke and simple midos and musar. No, yoiser v'yoiser tzarach lo moitz sefrei musar. They're required to learn musar even more. Meaning it's just the opposite. The smarter someone is, the more capable someone is, the more sophisticated, and the greater one's intellect, the more you need to harness your abilities through the study of musar. So I just want to share with you, before we begin today, the one of the most famous svarim of the Talmid Devorah of the Rav Moshe Cordovero is the Sefer Pardes Rimonim. And Pardes Rimonim is a Kabbalistic work, but in the Hakdam of the Pardes Rimonim, Rav Moshe Cordovero sort of gives us insight into what motivated him to really dedicate himself to Avodas Hashem. He says, "Ne'umat soyer Moshe," the words of the young man Moshe at Cordovero. He says, "Beroisi yimei hayaldus cholfu avru lamei." When I see that my youth has passed by so quickly, berodfi kol tava, pursuing every passion. Now, you can imagine this is not what we think it means. Rav Moshe Cordovero was not running after taiva, but nevertheless he felt that lefi madregasoi, his youth was perhaps spent in a way that he could have spent it better. V'yichlu be'efes tikva, and his young years have vanished. He says, V'hi b'higiyani koine oshnasa esrim, and he's reached the old age now of 20 years old. Remember, Rav Moshe Cordovero only lived till age 48. V'seyar tzahoiv tzamach, and I'm already getting, maybe my hair is lightening. Now, I don't know if this means he got white hair. So he says, V'yireini koini kish ashayar mishnasai, my Creator is beckoning. V'oimer al nafshi, so I said to my soul, Ad mosai tischamkun habas hashoveva, Ad mosai tishtakrun, how long am I going to be drunk for? Hasirias yenech me'alayech, remove your wine. How long will you sleep and forget your Creator, the one who fashioned you from your mother's womb? Arise, call out to your God. Be diligent on the houses of study on a daily basis. And he says, I paid attention to the beckoning of my soul, and I said, Akumana, I'm going to arise, I'm going to go out into the cities, into the market, to try to find goodness for my soul. And then he says, listen to what he says, Va'eshma koil medaber, I heard the voice that was speaking. Ir v'kadosh min shemaya nachis, a holy one from beckoning from heaven. Moiri v'Rabbi hamakubal alaki, the great Kabbalist Harab Shloima Al-Kabitz Halevi, who we mentioned that the Ramak was a student of Rab Shloima Al-Kabitz, the author of L'chadoidi, and this was his Rebbe in Kabbalah. We mentioned his Rebbe in Nigla was the Beis Yosef, and his Rebbe in Kabbalah was Rab Shloima Al-Kabitz, who he says, he allowed me to enter the innermost sanctums of Kabbalah. Okay, so now we continue on in the Sefer Devorah. I just want to remind you, the first Middah we discussed, the first Middah was Mikel Kamaycha, where we said God has so much compassion and so much mercy that since at every moment in time God is showering us with life and sustenance, even at the moment that we're sinning. So just imagine at the moment that a person uses his hand or his mouth to sin, God is infusing that mouth with the capability to sin. So why doesn't God say, well, if you want to sin, sin on your own strength, but I'm not going to give it to you? And the Talmid Devorah says this is derived from the word kel, because on the one hand, God is a kel noikem. He's a vengeful God, which means he has the capacity to take revenge. But even so, he's merciful and he's a Baal Chesed. So Rav Matasio Solomon just brings in his footnotes on the Sefer Devorah that this is the meaning of what we say in Zmiros, Meshoich chastecha liyodecha. Please draw forth kindness to those who know you. Kel kanoi v'noikem. Vengeful, revengeful God. You would have expected it to say, Kel rachum v'chanan. Why are we asking the God of vengeance to have mercy on us? Why don't we ask the God of mercy to have mercy on us? But the point being, the fact that God could take revenge and is able to take revenge and overcomes it and still shows compassion, that shows the extent of His mercy. And this is the meaning, Meshoich chazdecha liyodecha kel kanoi v'noikem. Okay, so today we begin the second Middah, and this Middah, the Talmud Devorah feels, is even more powerful and compelling too than the first Middah. We're on page Tes, Habez, the second Middah, Nosei Avon. God bears sin. This is even more powerful than God granting life to those who sin against Him. This is even greater. God does not, nobody ever did a sin that sin did not create a destructive angel. We know there's a concept that every time a person does an Avera, that act creates an angel. Kedetzanan, like we learn in Pirkei Avos. Ha'over Avera achas, one who violates one sin, koina loy kategar echad. He acquires a prosecuting angel. So every time we do an Avera, whatever that Avera may be, it creates an angel. Now, that angel is not moving in with God, it's moving in your house. So now, let's say you have a family of 4, 5, 6, 20. Well, now you have a new member of your family. Now, this is short of the fact that your wife does not have to light an extra candle for this destructive angel that's moving into your home. But there is a new member of your family, and that is the destructive angel that you've created. Now, who's going to feed the angel? Because I'm not aware that when people now go to the grocery store, they're buying food for one more portion of food. Now, that prosecuting angel, who stands before God, and the prosecuting angel says, so-and-so made me. There is no creature that could exist in the world, only through the bounty and the benevolence of God. So who's going to feed this destructive angel? God. God's going to feed this angel. Now, the fun of this destructive angel stands before God. How could it live? How could it continue to exist? Logic dictates that God should say, look, I'm not feeding you. I didn't make you. Go to the guy who made you. Let him go to the store, buy you a steak, buy you milk, buy you whatever you need, whatever you want to eat, but not on my bill. You take his credit card. Take it up with him. Why doesn't God say, I don't feed destructive angels. Go to the guy who made you, and be sustained by him. So now the destructive angel, what do destructive angels eat? They eat souls. So what should really happen is the destructive angel should go down and take this guy's soul as food. I mean, he's got to eat something. He's a growing man. He's a growing angel. So he should eat the guy. So he should eat his soul and or maybe even cut him off from the next world. Or this guy should be punished in accordance with what he deserves. Until this destructive angel goes away. But God allows it to become His problem. In other words, not only does God tolerate the sin, not only does God continue to give life to the heart, to the lungs, to the mouth that sinned against Him, God now has to deal with the destructive angel and feed the destructive angel, clothe him, home him. God has an entire, new entity and creation to worry about all of this angel's needs. So why doesn't God say, go tell the angel, look, this is not my problem, go to him, and maybe knock off the guy. What do you want? Eat up his soul. Eat off his head. But ve'ena kadosh baruch hu oisakain. God does not do this. Ela Nosei, He tolerates, He bears, v'soivel, and He tolerates Avon. Uchemoishu zon ha'olam kulai, just like God feeds and nourishes the whole world. Zon umefarnes hamashches hazeh. He sustains and supports this destructive angel. Until God waits for one of three things to happen. Ad sheyeh echad mishlosh dvarim, until one of the following three things happen. Oy sheyashav achote b'shuva, either the sinner repents vi'aklehu, and somehow this angel dissolves vivat leo b'sigufav, and you nullify the angel with your afflictions. Or the righteous God will nullify the angel with affliction and perhaps death. Or you have to go to the purgatory and pay your debt. But why doesn't God say, it's not my problem, it's your problem? No. V'hainu sha'amar Kayin. This is what Kayin said. Gadol avoini minisai. Is my sin too great to bear? What Kayin was saying is, God, you are able to sustain me, so why can't you sustain this destructive angel? You sustain all of mankind, so why can't we just put the angel on your credit card as well? And this is an extraordinary measure of God's mercy. Not only does He grant life to the sinner as he sins, He continues to support. Now just imagine for a moment, someone speaks Lashon Hara for 1 minute, that's 200 words, that's 200 angels. God has a whole retinue of angels to feed. Why doesn't God say, don't eat, why do I have to feed you? Eat the guy. You eat up his nose, you eat up his eye, you eat up his lungs, and leave me alone. God tolerates the sin. Not only does He continue to give life to the sinner, He continues to feed and to be mative to all of the ramifications of the sinner until the sinner does tshuva. The story goes that Rav Lazer Gordon, who was the founder of the Yeshiva of Telz, so he was a big proponent of Musar, but there was a breakaway in his yeshiva, who they started another yeshiva out in the forest where they didn't learn Musar, and Rav Lazer Gordon continued to support those errant and wayward Talmidim until they would come around, despite the fact that they were rebelling against him. Okay, we'll hold it over here. B'ezras Hashem, we'll continue from here tomorrow. Wishing everyone a great day. Shkayach.
Rabbi Glatstein, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what happens is
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.